Everything happens for a reason, or doesn't it? Hi guys, I'm Laura Blu Sandía and welcome to the very first episode of Dance with the Universe, your space of inspiration, healing and growth. I'm really excited because today I will share with you something that really changed the direction of my life forever. It's something really personal and it's something that a lot of you would probably consider to be the end of the world. I want to share with you how I lost my job and why that was the best thing that ever happened to me. You don't believe that? Well, I invite you to listen to the end and you will understand, trust me. I also want to share with you 4 steps that you can apply when life decides to give you a wake-up call. So let's dance with the universe. 1 year ago, I was living the life most of you are probably living right now. I had a stable job, I lived in a nice apartment in Vienna. I went to yoga class every Monday and really enjoyed going out with my friends on the weekends. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. That was my reality. Until one day, when I went to the office and my boss took me aside. Can we talk? The first thing I thought was, uh-oh, because I already had this kind of bad feeling in my gut for the last few days. And I had been ignoring that successfully until then. Actually, I even wrote down in my diary something like, this is not what I want, I'm not happy. I feel like the clock is ticking and I should really wake up soon. So I guess the universe was replying to my wish. When my boss said, I'm afraid that we will go separate ways. It felt like a punch in my face. A real hard punch. And the first thing I felt was confusion, sadness. I felt lost, I felt angry. And there was a real thunderstorm going on inside of me, while my boss was telling me all the super reasonable reasons for firing me. So if something unexpected and seemingly horrible happens to us, we tend to look for reasons outside in order to feel better. Why? Because then our focus shifts away from us, away from the hurtful truth that it's our life and that it's our responsibility. A little story in between, you might hear some drums in the background. That is because I'm working in a cultural house, what we have here in Bogota, and we have a lot of instruments and there's a lot of children coming sometimes and they really love the drums. So if you're asking yourself what that is, that's some children having fun. Anyway, what happened? I listened to my boss and the first thing I thought was, oh no, why me? It's their fault, they don't want me, it's the company's fault, the country's fault, government's fault, who knows, but it's not my fault. So, let's be real. I mean, getting fired sucks. And I did feel like shit. I guess that's normal. And one sentence that it's really, really popular that a lot of people use when something horrible, unexpected happens to us that we didn't plan or that we really don't like is everything happens for a reason. Because with this sentence we just kind of justify our actions. Because if it happened for a reason, it's okay, we don't have any responsibilities. After we said that, we can move on. It's the wish of the universe. And yes, it's a way of accepting what happened, but the problem here is that we never go beyond that. So a lot of people use that sentence, but they don't understand it. They don't use it in a correct way. So the thing is that this reason really wants to be understood, reflected on, and ultimately learned from. Because the truth is, failure as we know it is an illusion. Behind every failure and every horrible thing that happens lies a bigger truth. And if I had, after being fired, just used, well, it happened for a reason, I guess, and closed the chapter, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you. So what happened? I went home, cried my eyes out, of course, called my parents and cried, and horrible. But at one point, I was so exhausted and I lay down on my bed. Sorry, and I stared at the ceiling. And suddenly I realized that something inside of me was happening, a shift. Because I started to see something else behind all that grief and pain. I saw a possibility. And I took the decision to investigate the reason. And how do you do that, you might ask yourself? Well, before I answer that question, I want to take you on a little journey. So, I want you to close your eyes and let your imagination be free. Let's for a second imagine life as a path. So on this perfectly designed path made of concrete stones, millions of people are walking blindly ahead, and so are you. There are people next to you, behind you, in front of you, and they're all walking, and no one really has to think because there's just one way to go, and all you have to do is follow the crowd. So when you are on this stone-paved path, all you can see and all you have to see is one direction. And now, imagine someone suddenly punches you in the face. Obviously, you start stumbling and you start falling off the path because you are losing your balance. First, you're in shock and you feel pain from the punch and the fall. Confusion. You feel like you have failed. But then, suddenly you start to feel soft green grass underneath you. There's no more concrete stone. You start looking up and you see beautiful flowers blooming and exotic animals crawling and flying around. You feel the sun on your skin and you realize there's a whole new world that you haven't seen before. And then you realize there are so many other paths in all shapes and forms you can imagine. Suddenly you understand that you always had a choice. So why is it so hard for us to realize that we are walking on this path which really is not ours? Well, the answer is quite easy. We all want one thing, and that is stability. We want a stable job, a stable relationship, a stable state of mind, isn't it? And society provides us with that. Society gives us this predefined model to live by, to follow and to fit in. It creates the path. And this path basically represents security. And security is a basic need. We all really cling to it because we are just so scared to be without that. Because without that we feel totally lost and confused and we have to think for ourselves. Ooh. So if we go off that path, we first feel like outsiders, like weirdos, like we don't belong, because we're not doing what all the other people do. And we're not living by the rules and the limits of others. Isn't it true that society defines what is good and bad, who fails and who succeeds? But really, have you ever asked yourself that question? Why does failure have to be bad? What I really want to do is to encourage you to question. To question and to challenge the things that are apparently set in stone. The things that others told you that are truth and that are important and that are those rules. Because I feel like you shouldn't take any word for that one truth. especially not mine. Because the only real truth you will ever know is inside of you, isn't it? And you have to get quiet to really hear that voice. And if we are honest, it's that nothing great has ever been achieved out of the feeling of safety and comfort, out of this security. All the greatest achievements in this world, all the inventions and revelations of all these awesome people, even the greatest art out there, all of this has been born out of the place of being lost. Because that seemingly failure is actually a really, really big blessing. And that is why life really needs to hit us hard sometimes. Because otherwise we wouldn't be able to wake up and to step off that path, and we wouldn't be able to break free of those chains. And I want you to remember one sentence that I really love and I use a lot. And the sentence is, life gives you what you need, not what you want. Think about it, it's really deep. So, at this moment when I was staring at the ceiling, totally lost and sad, and this shift was happening, I realized suddenly how unhappy I actually was. I actually didn't really like my job or the city I was living in. I was not happy walking on the stone paved path. And that made me realize, wow, that is a real big chance life gave to me. That's a chance to change. Because the first step was already taken. I mean, all I had to do was now follow the call. Because life indeed had presented me with a way out of my unhappiness, to be able to free myself from society's chains and to really follow my own path. And that's really beautiful. But obviously, in the moment these kind of chains are broken, the first thing you will feel is fear. Why? Because this security and that stability is all we really want, apparently. But what we actually need is to get lost. So when you feel the most lost and confused, you will find yourself. Because that means that all the old structures and habits and ideas are being destroyed, and that hurts. But there also lies the possibility, the opportunity to build it all new. To start kind of on a blank sheet of paper. And that's what I did. So after being totally lost and realizing that, hey, actually, I can now do what I really want to do. So I packed my bags, sold all my stuff, and off I went on a plane to South America. And I'm still here, as you see. So I went on this journey of self-discovery and take time to really feel and see and look for what we really want to do in our life, what we want to do with our talents and with our skills, and what's our purpose. Looking back now, getting fired really was the best thing that happened to me, and actually was the only thing that could ever have happened. Otherwise, I would not be here right now talking to you from my own office in Colombia. I mean, how cool is that? So, because now I'm walking on my own path and not on the path of someone else. So, out of my own experience, I want to share with you 4 things that you can do when life decides to give you this wake-up call. And it can be strong, I'm gonna warn you, but it can also be more soft, you never know. It can be losing your job, but it can also be breaking up with your long-term partner, or losing someone you really love, moving to another place, or even a sickness. So step 1, accept what happened. However shitty and unfair at the beginning it may seem, it already happened. So there's no way you can change it now or you can go back in time. no, it is how it is. And there lies a lot of strength and boldness in the fact that you accept something that already happened. And that allows you to move forward and to really relax and let go. That leads to the second step, which is let all feelings be. So that step is actually really fun, because there you just can get it all out. Any kind of emotion is welcomed. So obviously you will feel a lot of things, good and bad things, anger, sadness, confusion, whatever it is. And you have to do whatever you want, so whatever there is to do to allow all these feelings and emotions to express themselves. So you can go to a friend and cry all night, you can go out and dance, you can go on vacation, you can hit some bags in a gym. The most important thing is here that you don't repress anything, because believe me, it will come out one way or the other. And what follows that is a real clarity, because that allows you to really look behind all this emotion, this cloud, and then you can start to see the real opportunity for change. The third step is investigate the reason. So for sure, whatever it was, it happened for a reason. Okay. But then ask yourself, what could that reason be? Ask yourself really if what you've been doing all the time, all these years or months, really made you happy. And how you do that is you actually just imagine you would do what you've been doing for the rest of your life. How do you feel with that thought? Like, do you feel happy? Or does that make you like shiver, like, oh God, no. Well, then you know. So I want you to reflect on your thoughts, emotions, and actions during all this time. And now compare it how you feel now. Do you feel anything else behind that pain and grief? Maybe you feel relieved, free. That leads to the fourth step, which is then after you accept, you let it all be and let it all out, and you start to question, that you can recognize the opportunities. So here you can really take a piece of paper, literally, and brainstorm. What are your options? I mean, be really crazy. Don't restrict yourself, because at this moment everything is possible. Realize that life gave you a chance to recreate, and be really thankful for that, because you will realize it's a big, big blessing. So be creative, be crazy, be bold, and imagine and create the future of your dreams. If it's, for example, your work, you can investigate if you maybe want to work in another sector, or you want to do a totally other thing. And maybe you want to move it to another city, or you want to create your own business, or maybe you just want to take some time off to travel and to really investigate what it is you want to do with your life. So my friend, now is your time to create. And Agatha agrees. Thank you guys for listening. And thank you for joining me on this Dance with the Universe. I'm really new to this whole podcast world. So I'm super thankful for any kind of support. If you want to share Dance with the Universe with your friends, your mom, with your cat, and give it a positive rating, thank you for that. And if you would like to see what I'm up to, you can follow me on Facebook, on Instagram @Blusandia. Muchas gracias y mucho amor.